Ubisoft's latest looter shooter games as a service, The Division 2, got off to a great start when it launched on March the 15th. Players and reviewers alike praised the game for being a complete package rather than just being an early access AAA garbage pushed out the door far too early. But as happy as those players are, this is games as a service. So is it inevitable that things will change? That change came in the form of an update on Friday, which introduced, among other things, a new endgame stronghold called Tidal Basin, a few balance tweaks, and a glitch, which developers are looking into. The new endgame content seems to have pleased so far, adding to what was already a content-packed game. However, players have been complaining about the lack of special ammo drops since the update, which developers Massive Entertainment have acknowledged on Twitter and say that they are looking into. The biggest issue for some is what Massive did with the balancing. They've nerfed the chem launcher, lowered the amount of skill power required to equip skills, lowered the effectiveness of skills, and also lowered the critical chance of weapon mods. And while there are a bunch of threads cropping up on the Division 2 subreddit voicing concerns about these changes, Massive have yet to see a huge outcry. However, this is pretty much the first instance in which the community has had cause for complaint about the Division 2, which does raise the question, is it just the nature of games as a service that things will change, even if you don't want them to? Or is it just in people's nature to complain about things, especially as gamers, since if you believe the mainstream news outlets, we're a bunch of toxic entitled whingers. The biggest thread on the Division subreddit right now is over 10,000 upvotes in the last 24 hours saying that it's basically a rant saying stop criticizing people and stop being toxic because you complain about everything. And like, this is the heaviest sentiment right now in the community is, we've got things good, guys, stop complaining about it so much. But I don't know, it's a weird one, this, because this is the first time that players have been able to complain about the Division 2, and the fact that this has come in light of changes, because, you know, change, as we said there, is inevitable in games as a service. People want it how it was, and now it's changed, and it's like, well, we bought this service-based game, and you've changed it like you promised, but we liked it how it is, and it's like, at what point are you going to be able to please as much as the community as they did at the outset? I mean, the further they go from the original vanilla version that they published to begin with, the more people are going to upset, right? Is this just a never-ending cycle of gamers being upset?
I think the system is inherently flawed in the fact that you can't please everyone. So I think you need to stop trying to please everyone.
That's true.
And just get really good at what you want to do and be really good at that thing and stop trying to pander.
I think criticism is inevitable no matter what you do. If you're not dividing people's opinion, then you're not doing it right. It's the same with us, right? We divide people all the time in the comments, but if that didn't happen, then we'd just be bland and boring, and I mean, you might still think that.
Boring!
I mean, this is probably the best thing for people to complain about, because the game reviewed pretty well, like it's got loads of content, and now people are complaining about what sounds to me like quite minor things. It's the weapon rates and skills and stuff, and that is important, but at least the game still works. It's not like there's hilarious glitches the whole time. So I'm glad that what you are complaining about, which you have every right to complain about, I'm glad it's minor in the grand scheme of the game.
Yeah. At least it's not completely broken, and at least you go. I mean, you should look on the bright side. I mean, look at some of the other games as a service published now. I mean, if you think you've got it bad with the Division 2, it could be a lot Anthem. I mean, worse.
There's a whole lot of stuff to moan about in that. Now it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's your Monday News Nuggets.
Give them to me.
Give them to me. Now.
In the latest patch for Apex Legends, players were subject to an early quit penalty. Ironically, earlier than was planned. Players who quit mid-match 3 times found that they had a 5-minute cooldown before they could play again. According to Respawn, this is part of their plan of combat match quitting, but it wasn't meant to go live with the update.
A documentary chronicling the development of Ubisoft's multiplayer historical crossover game For Honor is now available on Netflix. The documovie initially released in September last year in Canada and was written, directed, and produced by Jean-Simon Cartier.
Say shart. It's like shart.
He sharted himself. Bad luck.
I think in terms of being respectful, you should anything that sounds like a shark, like Brian Deschart, is actually Brian Descartes, right?
Descartes.
You can't say Deschart because that's a little bit of disrespect. So for this Jean-Simon Chartier, you should probably say Cartier, right?
It's Jean-Paul Gaultier, the fashion designer. He's written the documentary. He's made it. There you go. Playing Hard is available now on Netflix and is described as unprecedented access to a highly secret world of the biggest entertainment industry in the world.
Elder Scrolls Blades has finally been made available to everyone following a brief closed access period. And to be fair, it looks good and plays good. However, it is, as you would expect, filled with and centered around microtransactions, just as you would expect from a cash grab mobile game.
The real test of games with level creation features is whether you can make a one-to-one version of the original Super Mario Bros. Claptrap 9 has taken that to the next level and recreated Super Mario Maker and its entire customization toolset in Little Big Planet 3.
While nothing has been formally announced, it appears that the Nintendo Switch exclusive Octopath Traveler may be coming to the PC. Reset Era user Roger discovered that the game has been rated for Windows PC by the Game Rating and Administration Committee of Korea.
In their cover story for April, Game Informer are talking all about Mortal Kombat 11 and kick things off with a rapid-fire interview with Ed Boon. Boon drops some interesting bombs, like that he would love to work on a brand new IP, and it sounds like that game would be a game as a service.
Always want to see Jon Snow get punched in the face? Well, you're in luck. In an SNL comedy sketch about VR gaming, Kit Harington plays an annoying NPC.
A gameplay overview trailer for the upcoming World War Z was published. The game launches on April the 16th on consoles and PC.
The next Assassin's Creed game will be all about Vikings, according to Jason Schreier's sources. This backs up the theory that a poster within the new Division 2 game is a teaser for the next Assassin's Creed game, which is due out in 2020.
And next up in Ubisoft are crap at keeping secrets news, it appears that the next Watch Dogs game will indeed be set in London. Would you Adam and Eve it?
Would you Adam and Eve
Would
it,
you
mate?
Adam and Eve it?
Introduce me!
I am Caligula. I want debauchery and decadence. No, but what we do have is a joke. And it's an old classic. It's
knock joke.
Well, no, it could be. It's not a knock, but it's not a chicken crossing the road, unfortunately. But it's old faithful. It's an old reliable.
Hit me.
Did you hear about the restaurant on the moon? Great food, but no atmosphere. One we've all heard before, but it still holds up. I saw it and I was like, I shouldn't laugh because I know it, but I'm just like, it makes me feel good inside.
Who was that?
It was DK Coley.
DK, thanks for your service, sir.
Every online multiplayer game has to deal with cheaters. Some try banning them while others take a more hands-off approach. Respawn's wildly successful battle royale Apex Legends is no exception, and they have been clamping down hard on cheaters. Generally, if you're doing something you shouldn't, you should probably try to fly under the radar as much as possible. For some Apex players, they just can't help but gloat about all their cheating and decide to stream their gameplay. Respawn are now hardware ID banning cheaters, which has limited the cheaters' abilities to find workarounds like changing IPs or making new accounts. A Reddit thread on the matter titled "Hackers are crying, it looks like a huge ban wave hit them, good job Respawn" currently has 48,000 upvotes. One Redditor even chronicled the downfall of one such cheater who was repeatedly banned within a single stream. The user updated the thread multiple times to track the cheater's multiple bans and failed attempts to work around them. The hacker even repeatedly taunted the developers, saying things like, "They can't keep me out," and claimed to not be toxic. Ultimately, this guy still didn't learn his lesson about using cheats and said, "Alright, I guess I'll have to find a new game to cheat on, and I'll definitely be streaming Rainbow Six with cheats."
Cheaters never prosper. When do you learn, guys? Unless you're streaming online and you're trying to get some 13-year-olds to watch you, then you will never prosper. Who's watching this guy? Just like, where's his mother in all this, right? Where's his parents telling him what's right and wrong? I blame the parents.
It's the fact that they're all whinging. They're going on these forums and messaging Respawn like, "Oh no, you've stopped me from doing this. You've banned me. Please unban me." Like, oh, just grow up. Just stop cheating. If you want to cheat, do it in your own like private lobby, like with mods and stuff.
Yeah. Stop affecting everyone else.
Yeah. Because if you want to do it, fine, because you can do some cool stuff with mods and shit. Do it away from everyone else.
Not in a competitive match like Battle Royale. Nah.
No good.
Get facts, San. Last week on April the 5th, the Competition and Markets Authority, or CMA in the UK, launched an investigation into Sony, Microsoft and Nintendo's consumer rights practices. The investigation will look at whether the three companies are in breach of UK law with regard to their subscription renewal methods. Specifically, quote, their use of auto-renewals for online gaming contracts, their cancellation and refund policies and their terms and conditions. This investigation will likely take some time, and the CMA are inviting UK residents to contact them with any info which may help them. So if you do feel you've been ripped off or misled by any of these companies with regard to their subscription services and you live in the UK, you can find a link in the description. In fact, this needs to be raised, right? Because these companies kind of get away with anything that they want. Having been used to Steam's refund policy and just generally being treated well in the PC platform by Steam, I've got to give them credit for that, right? It seems when I go to PlayStation, they've only just recently changed their refund policy on Sony, whereas so long as you haven't downloaded the game, you can get a refund up to 14 days. Who doesn't download the game? That's pretty much a non-existent refund policy. Who buys a game and doesn't download it? It's bullshit. That's actually beside the point of what this investigation is looking into. This is mainly about subscriptions and auto renewals, and then giving you, making sure that you're being treated fairly as a consumer, which doesn't happen often enough. You think about, everyone's been ripped off by a mobile phone company you've lapsed your contract or whatever, and they still charge you an extra like whatever, and even if you try to cancel afterwards, they'll still take the money off you. But hopefully, if you've had any bad experiences, link in the description, like we said. Let's sort this thing out between us.
The United States Federal Trade Commission has officially set a date to discuss everyone's favorite gaming trend, loot boxes. Inside the Game, Unlocking the Consumer Issues Surrounding Loot Boxes is a workshop held at the Constitution Center in Washington, D.C. on August the 7th. It will discuss the consumer issues with loot boxes and the impacts they may have on young people, and will feature industry stakeholders, representatives, consumer advocates, trade associations, academics, and government officials. According to the FTC's website, the workshop will discuss the in-game transaction landscape, including the origins and evolution of loot boxes and their role in gameplay and the digital marketplace, research examining consumer behavior, including child and adolescent behavior in the context of video games and digital transactions, and a discussion of consumer awareness and education about in-game digital transactions, including the mechanics, marketing, and financial commitments associated with loot boxes. The FTC defines loot boxes as in-game rewards that contain a random assortment of virtual items, loot, to assist a player in advancing in the online game or to customize his or her game avatar. Players buy loot boxes using virtual currency that they may earn within the game or purchase with real money. Loot boxes have produced a growing revenue stream for game developers. At the same time, concerns have been raised about techniques used to market loot boxes and whether minors are becoming addicted to these in-game purchases. The event will also be open for the public to attend, as well as being broadcast online, and discussion topics and possible participants can also be suggested. This is a major step towards an official examination of loot boxes and the potential damage they can cause to the industry, consumers, and young people. So this is a great, first major step for kind of regulatory bodies and a proper official meeting of people to be like, all right, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Doesn't, whatever the conclusion is, they're coming to sort it out and address what loot boxes really are.
Yeah.
And how they can damage the industry and young people in particular because of all the gambling associations.
Yeah, it's definitely important that people have conversations around loot boxes. For far too long, people have just ignored it, or they've gone on the complete opposite extreme, which is just to say that these are all gambling, and then people can easily defend against that. It's not actually gambling because technically you can't get your money back or you can't win anything from it. But that's beside the point, right? And as soon as the conversation gets started and people can discuss the ins and outs and what effects it has on people, whether the effects on young kids are akin to gambling and the response that you get from the positive reinforcements of gambling and things like that, whether that has a psychological lasting effect or damage on kids who are using them, because that's what's important. Whether they're called gambling or not is another. It's by the by. It doesn't even matter. What matters is if whether it has a negative effect or a detrimental effect in the long term on people who are using them. So hopefully they can get to the bottom of it, and then they can act accordingly afterwards.
And because it's open to the public, it's not going to be keeping things secret. You can go and you can watch the talks. You can be part of it, and it's live streamed. I don't know where, didn't say where, but presumably things like Twitch or YouTube or whatever. You can stay up to date on it.
Yeah, check it out. So that's your lot for the Monday morning gaming news roundup video here at Pretty Good Gaming. Catch us again on Wednesday. We'll be back for another gaming news roundup video, and then bet again on Friday, because Monday, Wednesday, Friday is when these gaming news roundup videos tend to come. If you want to support the content, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, and we will see you again in the next episode. Until then, bye for now.
Apples and pears.
Yeah.
Dog and bone.
Dog and bone.
Ubisoft should be on the dog and bone to people who keep leaking this stuff.
Yeah. Awful companies in the industry pegging us up the Gary Glitter, right? That's the company rhyming slang. Leave it at that, shall we?